Guys, we're back in Needham, and today I'm gonna walk you through the mock-up that we're doing outside and who's paying for that. And we're also gonna talk about our second floor framing and talk about some of the details and why we have 2 staircases in this home. And finally, I'm gonna talk about some of the tools that Dimitri and his crew at Chevcon are using to make sure our walls are true and plumb. We're also gonna answer your question about what those brackets are holding the scaffolding on the side of the house. So working with Steve and his team, there's a lot of details on the outside of this home. There's brick, there is shiplap, there is cedar shingle, and there's a lot of trim details and bracket details and roof details. One of the things we decided to do is get a mock-up built. We have one of our summer interns here working on it. Pat, one of our carpenters, is working with him today, and we are basically utilizing a lot of the scrap that's on site. You can see the plywood kind of mismatched up on the roof. Using what we have available to us. But the reason that we're doing this is that obviously, you know, the drawings are great. We've even done photorealistic renderings, but we want the client to be able to see exactly how things are going to look when they're installed. So one of the big questions for us is what we're going to be using on the roof here. So we actually have about, I think, 4 different roof samples that we're going to be installing on this so the client can see, touch, feel, and ultimately make the decision based on that rather than what it looks like in a photo or even in the drawing. So right now they're working on putting up the drip edge. We have this really cool plumb cut rafter detail. You can see the trim coming together. They're using boral, but then they're also doing the sidewall. So we'll actually get most of the sidewall detailing done. I don't think we're going to be doing the brick on this, but we'll at least get our vertical shiplap as well as our cedar shingles. And then we'll go as far as to paint some of this so they can start seeing the paint colors. Now, a lot of you guys had asked, who's paying for this? We're going to walk inside, but who's paying for it? So for us on this particular job, we didn't discuss actually including this in our proposal. So normally if we had planned for it, yeah, we would have a mock-up price in our proposal, and ultimately the client could decide if, you know, they felt as though it was worth it. For us on this one, we have our summer intern, like I mentioned. It's a little bit of an investment on his behalf. He's here for just a couple months. We're hoping he sticks with us throughout the school year on his co-op program, but here's an opportunity for him to touch a little bit more than he would in a normal, you know, say 2-month stint on a job site. This introduces him to a lot of different things in a really short amount of time. So hopefully that addresses the questions that you guys have about the mock-up. Real quick, it's something that is worthwhile, and if whether or not you're charging your client for it or you are doing it by free will, I do think that it's super beneficial. And you know, from a business perspective, if you aren't charging the client for it, it may be the opportunity, I don't want to use the word upsell, but they may opt to use a different product or a more expensive product or a more expensive roof that nets you a better result, which then you can go and promote that you built a nicer house with a nicer roof or a nicer type of siding because they had the opportunity to see, touch, and feel it. So when we have the opportunity, I think a mock-up really does make sense. Alternatively, if you don't have the space to build something, you could also use a corner of the house. We've done that in the past too, where we just take a corner and basically build that mock-up. Of course, all of this stuff is going to be kind of taken apart and you know, probably thrown away, and we'll try to recycle as much as possible, but that's a big reason why we're trying to use as many scraps as we can for that. As far as progress this week, we are into our floor framing. We are continuing to use I-joist in this project. Where we're not using I-joist, we're using LVL. We are dealing with our shear wall, and I want to explain again, shear wall, this is designed as a structural wall to help with racking of the house. So as wind is blowing against it, it doesn't allow the house to rack, ultimately leading to cracks in your drywall and things like that. But most of these joists are sitting on top of the wall. When you get into certain scenarios like this is an LVL that's almost flush or essentially flush with the wall, and we have hanger details. Again, these are details that are worked out by the structural engineer, but I want to call really close attention to what you see gooping out of the bottom of that. Anytime we put an I-joist in a hanger, we're putting a little bit of construction adhesive to drop down and in. What that's going to do is it's going to help prevent any squeaking that joist might create in that hanger in the future. Working our way here, we have our staircase going down to our basement. Our basement's is designed to be finished, but that's a determination as to whether or not we're going to finish the entire basement now or later. And this staircase is actually going to go up to the second floor as well. So this will be a really beautiful staircase that Steve and his team designed, that's coming up to a landing. You have this nice window here, and then it goes up to your second floor. Now, I want to call attention to these two, for lack of better terms, a turnbuckle. Rather than just putting a 2x4 up on this wall and nailing it down to a plate and throwing a level on it, this gives you the opportunity to adjust things and turn these in and out. So if this wall is out of plumb, you can come back, put a wrench on it, and turn it in and out, and making sure that that wall is perfectly plumb. You're going to see these all the way throughout. It's something that Dimitri and his crew use often to make sure that they have the adjustment in these walls, because sometimes you got to kick a wall out to get a beam in, such as this big LVL or something. You got to have that adjustability long term. So again, this is the entryway. We are in a about 9'10" ceiling height here, but you have this really dramatic shot where you come through the entryway and then you're in your 2-story living room walls. So they're getting all of this framing wrapped up. They're working on getting the fireplace framed. The fireplace on the outside actually has a masonry detail, but the majority of that fireplace will actually be wood framed. We're not doing a brick veneer in the sense of, say, 1/2-inch brick. It will be a full brick. Let me get him unhooked here. It will be a full brick, but it will have a full WRB underneath on wood framing. We're doing that, for a handful of reasons. This actually will be a gas fireplace. We only have one wood burning fireplace in this home, and that will be in the husband's office. Back in the kitchen here, we're back down to our single floor level. And then as you work your way over here, you continue that 9'10" ceiling, but you're seeing a staircase opening here. And what this is for is that when you come off the driveway here into your side entrance, you do have your mudroom, you do have kind of a homework center here, and then a hallway down to a powder room, and then a staircase up to the bedrooms. Now, this is the secondary bedrooms, the kids' bedrooms, the guest bedroom, where the primary suite is on the first floor. But this gives you a direct shot to it, and also avoids having to walk across the home. Now, I know that might sound silly, like, oh, boo-hoo, you gotta walk across the home. We have the square footage. It makes sense to have a second means of egress up to that second floor, and it gives a more direct access to these bedrooms rather than using that main front staircase. Now, we talk about going into the basement from there. The second entrance to the basement, you would think might be stacked under here. It is not. We're actually gonna be using that for potential laundry and storage, but we have this staircase here that goes from the garage down. Now, I had mentioned this before, but to repeat myself, we do not have a bulkhead on this job. Instead, you're gonna have a 2-car garage here, and then a nice staircase that goes down to a nice big double door. And the reason that we tuck this in, for a couple reasons. Number one, we don't have the bulkhead in the backyard. That way, frankly, a bulkhead is kind of ugly. We don't have to deal with an outside staircase, which could lead to water issues or drainage issues. You have to add drainage as water makes its way down there. And number three, most of the time, you're gonna be, if you're using your basement for overflow or say storage, the garage is the perfect spot, because if you're bringing something home, say you have a pantry or cold storage room down there, you're bringing the groceries, now you have a direct point of access down into the basement. Now, our envelope will be at that double door, so all of this will be living space, and this staircase will be entirely open to the garage, so that staircase will be open. We were just discussing in our production meeting, hey, what are we gonna finish these stairs? We're not gonna do painted risers and oak treads. We'll probably do something more utilitarian, whether it's a painted plywood or maybe even an indoor-outdoor rug wrapped all the way down those stairs. You guys had also asked the question about, hey, what are those brackets on the wall for the staging? So why don't we run back over there? They're called new construction brackets, and they are designed to hang on the side of the wall, and we'll show the detail on how they're supported in case you guys want to use them. I know a lot of you guys use pipe staging, pump staging, and probably what we do is we frame staging as well, but this is a great bracket that gets installed on the sidewall as needed. I've always called them sidewall brackets, but you can see them here. They're made by Vanguard, and what they are is they're right on top of the exterior wall. They support 3 OSHA planks up there, and then you get the handrail piece that slides in just as a post. So you get that double 2x4 as a handrail, and then when you flip on the inside, these are great shots here. You're actually putting a spreader across your stud bay. Try to keep that turnbuckle close to a stud itself. That way you're not dead center. Come across, and then all it is this hand here. So you just take that handle, you thread it on, and you pull that bracket nice and tight. Like I said, you keep it tight to that stud so you're not in the middle of the plywood damaging that. You're keeping it tight to the stud, but now you're not drilling through the stud, and then they're temporary. And when you're done with that staging, pull those off, all you're dealing with is about a 3/4 inch hole to patch. Big week this week as we go vertical into our second floor. We're gonna be getting our 1 1/8" Advantech on that second floor. We'll be getting that whole deck laid. We're gonna be starting a lot of our roof framing because a lot of this is 1.5 story in the sense that the roof line does come down to the top plate of our first floor. And then we also have a ton of second floor walls, and you'll start to see the numerous bedrooms come together, the bathrooms up there, and we actually have this really, really cool homework loft, we're calling it, that's going to end up in, kind of tucked in above this future office space here. So stay tuned for that.